personal care industry for men and women is a multi-billion-dollar business. While some of that is spent for reasons of self-satisfaction, a large amount is spent to attract, well, a mate. There's just one problem. Unless you date the same sex, sometimes what you think is attractive about yourself isn't what the opposite sex is attracted to. Here's the most awkward Jubilee video to demonstrate that point. They brought in a group of women, all strangers, to rank themselves from least attractive to most attractive. Then they brought in a group of men to rank the women as well. Probably should have renamed this video "Strangers Get Self-Esteem Destroyed." After that, the men ranked themselves and were in turn ranked by the women. To no one's surprise, there was quite a difference in what men and women see as attractive in themselves and about the other sex. A similar conversation has been happening on TikTok, where individuals discuss the male versus female gaze.
So both men behind me are both me, and when I put a poll, which look do you like better, women unanimously chose to look on the left, while men mostly chose to look on the right. But I feel like men chose to look on the right because they feel like that's what women would want.
There are theories that these differences come from a long line of human evolution that still affects us today. Even with all our modern luxuries and social progress, we're still affected by these animal instincts which manifest in our current media every day. Welcome to Internet Impact, I'm Donna. Consider this a part 2 to the video called The Advantage of Being Attractive, Alex from Target. Now that one was focused on general attractiveness. Today we're going to get to male and female specific. As usual for videos like this, keep in mind that we're going to be discussing generalities. So of course there will be individuals who are exceptions. All studies mentioned will be down in the description below. Okay, so as I said, I noticed this discussion on TikTok and I'm hearing people use the term male versus female gaze. Male gaze refers to things that appeal to the male gaze and vice versa for female, obviously. Everyone has given examples of celebrities and characters for females versus males, but no one has really given an explanation for this stark difference. I guess you can't really do deep dives on TikTok because of the time limit, so today we're going to do just that and investigate what may cause this difference. What do males find attractive in females? What do females find attractive in males? And most importantly, why is what we find attractive about ourselves sometimes different from what the opposite sex finds attractive? We may just find the answer in evolutionary psychology and sexual selection. We're going to begin by going over what is meant by male versus female gaze. In many forms of media, content is sometimes designed to cater to a specific sex. This obviously doesn't mean men or women can't enjoy content that isn't designed for them. It means the elements in this piece of media happen to typically attract one sex. Media that caters to a specific sex can often portray men and women very differently.
Bond. James Bond.
The characters in media designed for men are said to appeal to the male gaze, while characters in media designed for women are said to appeal to the female gaze. Both portrayals aren't exactly accurate representations of each sex, but they're deliberately designed that way for the purpose of attracting either a male or female audience. The theory is that the male versus female gaze in media stems from innate biological differences from years and years of human evolution. You know that stereotype or perhaps truth portrayed in media where men seem to be more promiscuous than women?
You would have sex with me.
Are you being serious? Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Totally down.
No, like, not like, that's not like a question. Like,
Yeah.
would you? Like, no, literally, will you? Like,
yes.
right now.
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay, my house is like right up there. You
Okay.
wanna go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Women, on the other hand, seem to be more picky and coy.
Would any of you be interested in having sex with me? No? Can I have this ukulele?
No.
If you've watched any nature documentary, you've probably noticed this dynamic as well. Several males in pursuit of a female, a male flaunting its physical attributes to impress his desired mate, or several males battling it out to win a female. With a few exceptions, female pickiness and male promiscuity is seen in many species. Understanding why there are differing levels of promiscuity is the first step to deciphering why there is a contrast between what we find attractive in ourselves and what the opposite sex finds attractive. Evolutionary psychologists have a theory as to why we may be seeing these differing levels between both men and women. As the name states, evolutionary psychology is based on, you guessed it, evolution. You ever heard of Darwin and his finches? Now, I don't want to bring back any trauma from 9th grade biology, so I'll keep this short. Basically, Darwin, along with others, probably less important, were on a survey voyage across the sea when they came upon the Galapagos Islands. As they explored each island, Darwin noticed that the finches had different beaks depending on which island they were on. Finches on islands that were populated with seeds and nuts had massive strong beaks, while finches on islands that were populated by insects had skinny, sharp beaks. Each finch, over generation upon generation, had adapted to its environment. This observation by Darwin helped solidify the idea of natural selection and survival of the fittest. It is the process by which organisms with traits that don't help with survival simply die off, while organisms with strong traits survive and breed. So, what do finches have to do with human promiscuity? It acts upon the same mechanism, natural selection and survival of the fittest. Evolutionary psychology theorizes that all living organisms are designed to instinctively propagate their own species. Based on this, female coyness or pickiness and male promiscuity should be traits each sex has developed because it is useful for survival and propagation of their species.
So I'd like you to imagine someone of the opposite sex walking up to you on the street and say, "Hi, I've been noticing you around lately. I find you very attractive." And they ask you one of three questions. Would you go out on a date with me? Would you come back to my apartment with me? Would you have sex with me? Of the women approached, 56% agreed to go out on the date with the guy. 6% agreed to go back to his apartment. 0% agreed to have sex with him. Of the men approached by the female of the experimenter team, about 50% agreed to go out on a date with her. 69% agreed to go back to her apartment. And 75% agreed to have sex with her.
At a biological level, the reproductive systems for males and females differ, contributing to what arguably is the possible cause of promiscuity levels between the sexes. Alright, let's get down to the basics. To make baby, you need male and female gametes, also known as the sperm and egg. Females have the egg and males have the sperm. Now, the average male will produce 525 billion with a B sperm in his lifetime, while the female is born with about 1 to 2 million eggs. By the time she hits puberty, that number will go down to around 300,000. Many speculate this biological difference to be the motivation behind the differences in promiscuity between the sexes. Because males typically produce so much more of their gametes, biologically, promiscuity levels could be attributed to the amount of gametes. Must adopt a different mating strategy if they want to ensure the survival of their genes. Not only do they produce fewer of their gametes, but they're responsible for, fully baking everything. So females are incentivized to choose a mate with good enough genes to do this with. She doesn't have time to carry around low-quality, counterfeit 99-cent store genetics for 9 months. Hence, why you typically see female coyness in a number of species. Several pieces of other data may support this notion in humans. According to the CDC, on average, men typically have more sex partners than women. When comparing heterosexual couples to same-sex couples, we see differences in how much each engages in sexual activity. Male-male couples reported the highest number of sexual activity, followed by male-female, and then female-female reporting the least. Okay, to sum that all up, innate biological differences between the sexes may motivate the difference in sexual behavior. So in my videos, I always like doing a little bit of community participation. I asked you on Instagram to state your gender, and if you would rather hook up with one person ranked a 10 or 3 people ranked a 7. Follow me on there if you want to participate in these experiments. I wanted to see if you guys too would have shown similar results to the studies I mentioned previously. The hypothesis was if you were male, you'd more likely go with option 2, and if you were female, you'd likely go with option 1. The thing is, I was dumb and should have put these in some kind of poll because I had no idea how much of you would answer. I can't count all of these. Also, a lot of people forgot to write down their gender, but instead of just throwing these answers away, I do want to read some of the good ones or the funny ones. Overall, let's just classify this one as inconclusive. 3 sevens at the same time. 1. 3 people are hassle. Boy. 1 ranked at 10 because I only like my girl. Hope she sees this, bro. Female. 3 people if they're good. By gender. 0. My ace ass be like none, bitch. Multiply 3 and 7 and you get 21. 21 just beats 10. Rather marry 10 fours and they'll sing in my family folk band. That is absolutely not a cult. A 10 because it's the quality, not the quantity. Female, happily married at 10. And done. Alright, this only explains the contrast of sex drive and amount of sexual partners between sexes. We still don't know why girls obsessed over Timothy Charlemagne and why dudes simp over Belle Delphine. Well, let's get into that then. And the best way to do that is by looking at the extreme negative stereotypes of males and females. Men are shallow pigs and women are soulless gold diggers. There are many iterations of these stereotypes in media. In the very early stages of YouTuber pranks, a popular one to pull was one called the gold digger prank. Videos like this would get tens of millions of views.
You ready?
You want to go for a ride in this?
Yeah. Why not?
Get the hell away from my car, you stupid little prick!
You're not going? What? Are you serious?
Although these pranks don't do as well as they did due to the scandal of YouTube pranksters admitting these were fake, they still do a pretty good amount today. Last year, 90 Day Fiancé memes ran rampant on the internet because of this couple. Specifically, this man that goes by the name of Big Ed was clowned on the internet for the way he treated his love interest, Rose. Many felt that his actions were a sign that he was solely attracted to her looks and youth because of his lack of respect for her personal values. He leads Rose to believe that he wants to have a family with her just because he's infatuated with the way she looks.
Why you not tell me the truth? You not want a baby? Why?
What do you mean?
Why you not tell me first before you come here?
I believe we like watching these forms of entertainment because it showcases the extreme negative stereotypes of everything we don't like in a potential mate. We don't want to date someone who solely likes us for our looks or our material possessions because those things are finite. People get old and material possessions can disappear in an instant. We want someone to love us unconditionally in the event those things fade. We can't take our eyes off of something that angers us. The Kardashians have certainly mastered this art form. That said, these stereotypes do stem from some form of truth. Of course, everyone wants an attractive partner and a partner who has resources. Perhaps, for the typical person, we don't place as much importance on them as these characters, but we do desire some level of them. In a study by Norman Lee and colleagues called The Necessities and Luxuries of Mate Preferences Testing Trade-offs, researchers found that physical attractiveness was a necessity to men, while status and resources were a necessity to women. If you all collectively decided to stop watching this video right now, you'd all turn into man-haters and incels and start fighting each other in the comments. I knew the stereotypes were true. According to the analytics, it's a pretty even match too, so trust me, there is more to this. You just gotta wait to the end of the video. Unless you want to end up alone. Do you want to end up alone? You can actually see media taking advantage of this human programming, if you want to call it that. Look at the characters of the opposite sex in media catered toward men versus women, and you'll see what I mean. Alright, we're going to flip a coin. Heads will go over media catered for women first, and then tails will go over media catered for men first. Tails, boys, you're up first. Because men reported seeing attractiveness as a necessity in their love interests, media geared toward men will cater to that desire and design the ideal female partner according to it. There's a female love interest archetype in a number of films that's often used. First, the film will highlight the love interest's attractiveness and then showcase her personality as being not like the other girls. She's actually a cool girl, you know, one of the guys.
You've got a high-rise double pump carburetor. That's pretty impressive, Sam.
Double pump?
It squirts the fuel in so you can go faster.
Oh. I like to go faster.
The way a character is designed even occasionally supersedes the logic of the narrative. Who goes on adventures in short shorts? You're just asking for road rash. Despite this, they are willing to defy the plot's logic because a female character's attractiveness can retain male attention. Clearly, media figureheads know exactly what they are doing. In other mediums such as sports or music videos, female characters don't even have to have depth. Physical attractiveness may be higher on the pecking order than anything else. You have cheerleaders, ring girls, and import models. Not only is this seen in large corporate structures, but regular women are taking advantage of this phenomenon as well. In the early days of the live streaming platform Twitch, controversy erupted over what should be allowed on the site. Some women on the site would disguise their content as one thing, but, no pun intended, their intent was to actually use their bodies to get more donations. Throughout the years, multiple women have been given this sort of sex symbol title. You had Pamela Anderson, Britney Spears, and Megan Fox. For you Gen Zers out there, that just means many dudes simped over these women. Anyway, for Gen Z, that title may be held by individuals like Belle Delphine.
She is the internet's most infamous content creator, banned from every social media platform known to man. You might have bought her bathwater for $30 a pop. She's crushing it on OnlyFans and Patreon. It's the queen of the simps, Belle Delphine. Yeah.
Delphine has made headlines several times for her money-making antics. One of her most popular was selling her bathwater in a jar for $30. In just 3 days, the product was sold out. How did she do this? How did she attain her popularity to even get to that point of selling bathwater? Acting, perhaps, like Megan Fox and Pam Anderson? Maybe singing, like Britney Spears? None of the above. Just as the corporate media figureheads before her, Delphine uses the ideal female archetype to attain her large male audience. The difference is she's evolved that tactic for her Gen Z and perhaps younger millennial audience. Her popularity came from TikTok and Instagram, where she would post photos and videos of her doing this face, which is associated with, Japanese adult content that I can't mention because YouTube won't let me.
Unfortunately, I am unable to say something because a girl like you, the world for you are very... A girl like you, the world for you are very beautiful. It is impossible for someone not to fall in love, and your smile is the best thing. And I am Brazilian, right?
While expressing her sexuality, she also expresses her personality as a gamer girl. Delphine is the female love interest archetype that we so often see in traditional media. She has physical attractiveness, and her personality is a gamer. She's just like one of the boys. In a new marketing scheme, Delphine has announced on several podcasts that she will be doing a boy-girl scene this coming December. With her already established, mostly male audience that have been garnered through sexually suggestive content, there is no doubt this is going to go well for her monetarily. Media love interests such as this that's geared toward men are successful because males typically classify attractiveness as a necessity in their mates. If the evolutionary theorists are correct in that men's high promiscuity tendencies are because of reproductive strategy, men seeing attractiveness as a necessity also fits within that narrative. Not only do the number of partners increase a male organism's chances of passing down his genetics, but the health of his partner does as well. Attractiveness is one way to gauge this. Studies have shown more symmetrical faces to be attractive, as well as faces with average traits. Faces with major asymmetry have been linked to serious genetic disorders or trauma. Although the ideal body weight for women has changed over time, males have been consistent in preferring females with a waist-to-hip ratio of around 0.7, also known as that hourglass look. Waist-to-hip ratio is an index of age, health, and fecundity. By pursuing these physical health indicators, males can increase their chances of their genes being passed down. In summation, theoretically, a male's best strategy to pass down his genetics is to play the numbers game and choose healthy mates, using attractiveness as an indicator.
Hey there, pretty lady. I'm about to talk about it. I could give you a call sometime, man.
Oh, please.
Hey, baby, you know I'm talking about look good on your feet. You know, look better on my bed. I'm talking about don't give me that many
Many
digits,
mediums and individuals know this and use it to their monetary advantage. Alright, now, ladies' turn. I'm gonna go over this analysis backwards though. Instead of examining media geared towards females first, I'm gonna go over the evolutionary theory on why women are more selective over their mates than men.
Paul and I didn't think James Franco was even handsome. We just thought he was a weird looking dude. He had a big mouth and he had this like attitude. And then people started looking at the tape at the office and seeing his headshot. All the women were swooning and we were like, really?
Oh, no. Now I don't want him on the show. I didn't know he was hot. I thought he was goofy looking.
If the evolutionary theorists are correct in that women's mate selectiveness is based on reproductive strategy, women seeing status and resources as a necessity also fits within that narrative. While women still value attractiveness, which signals health, it is not as highly prioritized as men's. In a study that showed women multiple male body types, the body type classified as built and toned were rated as the most sexually desirable. One theory that explains this result is paternal investment, which refers to how much time and energy a parent gives to their offspring. Paternal investment is typically higher in women than men. Women are the ones conceiving. They breastfeed. Through biology alone, women have to invest more in their offspring than men if they want to increase the likelihood of their genes being passed down.
Mom! 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 Mommy! 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 Mama! 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 Ma!
They must ensure the survival of that offspring. They must pick a mate that will invest time and resources in the infant. Unlike male organisms that can theoretically pass their genes down in 3 minutes, women have to wait 9 months and ensure the infant survives. Although bigger males may signal health and strength, this also signals elevated levels of testosterone. Past research suggests that elevated testosterone aids men in efforts to attract mates by increasing their confidence and aggressiveness towards competing men. Now, as men get into relationships, the need for aggression becomes less of a requirement because he is no longer competing for mates. Lower levels of testosterone have actually been documented in men who are in a relationship. However, in a study by Stephen Gangsted and colleagues, they found men in relationships who report cheating on their partners, or those who stated they'd consider it, have levels about as high as single men. Although women rated the brawny body type as the most physically dominant and fairly high in sexual desirability, they also perceived it to be low on commitment and the highest in volatility. So, a body type like this may signal to women aggression and cheating. While helpful in competing for mates and resources, it is unhelpful for nurturing behavior used to raise an infant. If cheating occurred, this could lead to a reduction of resources for one infant. The female organism's reproductive strategy leads media figureheads to adopt a different marketing tactic when presenting the male love interest in female-driven media. Since a female's ideal mate has more to do with paternal investment, aka how much will the male invest into their offspring, the ideal male archetype in films geared toward women isn't always the most strong or macho. Yes, there is still attractiveness there, but it's more of the boyish, Prince Charming type of good looks. He also has a sweet, sensitive side that not everyone always sees. The outward strength he displays to his friends and the rest of the world signals that he can protect the female and her offspring, but he has a nurturing side that can take care of them as well. This archetype is especially prevalent in pop music.
When I was trying to be a pop star for a second, the team was like, "Yeah, dude, you got to stop eating and working out." I said, "What?" They go, "What pop star do you know that's like fucking huge?"
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I was watching one of your music videos one time. I was like, he's too big to be there.
I told you, bro, it's just not a good look. I look like a bodybuilder trying to like sing a song. What the fuck is that, bro? Imagine if Bradley Martin dropped like a song.
It's funny that people know you have to have a certain look to become a pop star, but they typically don't know why and what purpose this look serves. Now, this is something I've discussed on this channel before, but for the sake of new viewers, I'll go over it once again. To see how media figures use the female's reproductive strategy in their marketing, we're going to examine the evolution of pop star Justin Bieber. You know I'ma hit him with the ether. Bieber secured fame at the very young age of 13, which coincidentally is the age young girls begin to explore what they like in a romantic partner. Like his pop star predecessors before him, the industry would market this newly found talent discovered on YouTube to be the perfect boyfriend for a young girl. Keeping in mind an evolutionary perspective for what females prioritize in ideal mates, take a look at one of the verses of one of Bieber's most popular songs. "Oh, for you, I would have done whatever." Translation, I have a lot of resources and I would do whatever for you. And I just can't believe we ain't together. And I want to play it cool, but I'm losing you. My sadness towards the end of my first relationship shows how faithful I'll be. I'll buy you anything, I'll buy you any ring. More resources. And I'm in pieces, baby fix me. And just shake me till you wake me from this bad dream. I'm going down, 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 down. And I just can't believe my first love won't be around. And I'm like, baby, baby, baby. I'm sensitive, faithful, and guess what? I'm single. Although the internet clowned him for how cheesy this was, the song was popular and it's actually liked for nostalgic reasons today. Many of his songs from his first couple albums followed this archetype of the perfect boyfriend. Now that Bieber is 27 years old and his typical listener demographic has aged with him, his lyrics no longer follow that archetype. I got my peaches out in Georgia. I get my weed from California. I took my chick up to the north, yeah. I get my light right from the source, yeah. Yeah, that's it. And I see you, oh, the way I breathe you in, is the texture of your skin. I wanna wrap my arms around you, baby, never let you go. And I say, oh, there's nothing like your touch. It's the way you lift me up, yeah. And I'll be right here with you till the end. Many speculate this song to be about his wife, Hailey Bieber. As you can see, the song is still a love song, but it strays away from that young, cheesy, puppy love. This time it caters to women in their 20s. There are more allusions to the sexual aspect of a relationship, and comparisons of this high to weed. Before you attribute this evolution to Bieber aging, keep in mind there are multiple writers and composers of a song. They know exactly who they're writing for. Very similar to the Twitch streamers I mentioned previously, regular dudes are also aware of this phenomenon and use it to expand their social media followings.
I want to kiss him and hug him and tell him that he is so hot. I think we can all agree that he is the hottest man on earth. So cute and sexy. Yummy. Nice. I don't...
It explains a lot of the weird trends that happen on TikTok, the dancing and the pretending to be arrested by the police. Even though he's being manhandled, he still loves you. Look, I know it's corny, but before people started memeing them, there was a group of girls that found this steamy, probably. How else did this thing trend? In 2013, there was a convention called MagCon where young girls could meet their favorite Instagram or Vine star. It featured social media stars such as Aaron Carpenter, Cameron Dallas, Shawn Mendes, Nash Greer, and Taylor Kniff. Like Delphine, none of these guys were put in a position of fame because of acting or musical talent. They played into the ideal male archetype. I mean, check out some of these tweets. Whoa, you're attractive. I've been thinking about us. Love was made for me and you. Who is he talking to? This all leads us to 25-year-old actor Timothée Chalamet, Gen Z's current obsession. By everything we've discussed so far, it should be no surprise why fan edits of him are made all the time. Instead of me just reiterating the info previously mentioned, I'll be reading answers to the question, why do people like Timothée Chalamet? Well, these answers are excerpts collected from the platform Quora.
He appears totally unfazed by his rising stardom. He comes across as very goofy, approachable, and lovable. I've said it before, and I will say it again, there's nothing more captivating and attractive than a guy who is apparently completely unaware of how attractive he is. I guess another thing is, he isn't perfect. He embarrassed himself on stage doing his whimsical rap performances. He even got C-3PO and R2-D2 mixed up and just laughed it off when he got called out. He's a very humble human being who isn't afraid to break male stereotypes. As a member of Gen Z, I would say that we are obsessed with his acting, but also his good looks. This question has many different answers because we all have our reasons, but I personally like him for his humbleness and his acting. He is good looking, but people should be more focused on his acting and not just his looks. He is very nice towards his fans and is very humble. Most celebrities would change when they get famous, but he stayed the same since day one.
You'll notice that all these answers, yes, acknowledge his physical appearance, but focus more on Charlemagne's talents and character. This aligns with the evolutionary perspective of how female organisms have historically chosen their mates. He has status and resources because he's a famous celebrity, but he also has nurturing characteristics beneficial towards parental investment. Now compare those compliments to a critique of Charlemagne.
I'm actually not sure. I've seen him in a movie and some talk shows, and while he isn't ugly, I honestly wouldn't describe him physically as good looking. He certainly looks unique, seeing as he has a very prominent jaw, which I guess for some is very attractive, but to me, the combination of his features objectively don't lead me to believe he's any great beauty.
Notice here his talents are briefly mentioned and the critique is more focused on his physical attributes. Although we cannot ascertain OP's knowledge of how she feels about Charlemagne's work, it's safe to say from this post she's not much of a fan because she barely mentions it. Because women tend to view resources and status as ideal for potential mates, and OP lacks familiarity with Charlemagne's work, her not finding Charlemagne attractive fits the evolutionary perspective, at least in this case. Other behaviors to take notes of are jealousy and competition within each sex. When you are in a relationship, the kind of person you see as a rival differs depending on whether you're a male or female. Once again, this difference supports the evolutionary perspective. One study found that men perceived other men as more threatening when they ranked higher in status and in resources, while women found other women more threatening when they ranked higher in attractiveness. Even looking at infidelity, we see behavior that supports the evolutionary perspective. In a study that looked at over 60,000 people, participants were asked to imagine different scenarios and classify which one would be most upsetting and distressing to them. You found out your partner is having a sexual relationship with someone else, but has not fallen in love with this person. Or you found out that your partner has fallen in love with someone else, but is not having a sexual relationship with this person. Across the board, heterosexual men were found to be most upset by the sexual infidelity than women. Heterosexual women were found to be most upset by the emotional infidelity. I even asked a similar question on my community tab and found you viewers to share the same results. Keeping in mind the evolutionary perspective, a male's partner sleeping with someone else decreases the likelihood their genes will be passed down, while his partner falling in love with someone obviously hurts, but this would theoretically not hurt his chances of reproducing. The opposite is true for women. Her partner sleeping with someone else is emotionally painful as well, but she'd still be able to pass down her genes. However, if he were to fall in love with someone else, this may redirect his resources to his mistress, leaving her and her child to fend for themselves. With all that said, we're going to reclassify what men and women typically prioritize in a partner for the purposes of this video. It'll make it easier to understand from an evolutionary point of view. So men generally look for physical health indicators, while women look for characteristics that aid in parental investment.
This insistence on hand-holding is preposterous.
Well, I like it.
Yeah, of course you do. You're a girl. You like all kinds of hippy-dippy things.
We're next going to take a look at characters written specifically as the ideal version of each sex. In contrast to characters the viewer is supposed to relate to, this character is the representation one wants to be. For men, the ones on TikTok at least, that man is Ryan Reynolds. Yes, this is an actual trend and it's totally serious and not a joke. Men place value in physical health indicators, even applying it to themselves. When we go back to the Awkward Jubilee video, they rank the biggest looking guys the highest. Their ranking aligns with the evolutionary perspective in that, to males, health and fitness is one of the most vital attributes to pass on their genes. In several studies and surveys that observed same-sex relationships, male-male couples were found to be more dissatisfied with their body image compared to heterosexual men. 42% of gay men reported negative effects of body image on sex life, followed by 30% of heterosexual women, then 27% of lesbian women, and lastly, 22% of heterosexual men. These findings could suggest that body image is affected by your mate selection and social factors. Because male-male couples know they value physical health indicators themselves, and in turn their partner does too, insecurity about their own body image is amplified. This is further bolstered by the ideal male in media, perhaps even more specific, gay men in media? Because men are attracted to physical health indicators, media will supply that demand, leading gay men into perceiving that this is the ideal body. In fact, a video has gone viral of a gay man who goes into a gay bar alone. He already feels like he's being stared at. Despite this, he works up the courage to approach someone he's attracted to, and it unfortunately doesn't go well.
I didn't even finish my drink, I just straight up left. Because I walked up to this dude that I thought was cute. And I was trying to like say hi, and he said I was too fucking fat to try to be flirting with people, so I just left.
This video has sparked discussion about the culture of body image in the LGBTQ+ community. Now, for straight men, even though media may portray the ideal body image as bigger and stronger, heterosexual women don't prioritize physical health indicators as much. This result may mediate any media effects on heterosexual men. Additionally, there are more male writers and filmmakers in traditional media, which I think leads to a more diverse representation of male body types on screen. The writers feel like they can relate to this guy, therefore put him on screen. If health, resources, and the ability to attain mates are essential to propagate a male's genes, these attributes should be written in characters designed to appeal to the male gaze, characters that are designed as the ideal male from the perspective of other males.
We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'd all be millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't. We're slowly learning that fact. And we're very, very pissed off.
One genre this is seen is in superhero movies. This genre is often written with the protagonist as the ideal male from a man's perspective. Now, it is hard to distinguish if these characters are written as the ideal male to attract more of a male demographic, or if they are just written that way and happen to attract more of a male audience. Perhaps it's a little bit of both. Physical health indicators is a given, not only through physicality like size, but literal superhuman powers. While it may seem that resources vary from hero to hero, ideal male characters have resources that sustain what's essential for them. Bruce Wayne is a billionaire, Clark Kent is an award-winning reporter, and Peter Parker has a successful career as a photographer. You're not following around some low-life clown, and even if you are following one, they are actively attempting to attain resources. Lastly, all of these characters have some kind of love interest. Other characters that appeal to the male gaze are John McClane from Die Hard,
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Frank Martin from The Transporter, and James Bond from James Bond. Now I get it, it can be easy to dismiss that fictional characters are written to appeal to males because they live in a narrative. But the same type of idolization can be identified in social media celebrities. Now naturally, protagonists have to be constructed in a way that the viewer will like them. Otherwise, the film will fail to draw in an audience because of an unlikable cast. However, male digital stars who showcase traits featured in ideal male movie characters also attract a large male demographic. Coincidence? I think not. Logan Paul, who has recently rehabilitated his image, does this perfectly. He showcases physical strength. Even if he's lost all his matches, you can't deny the hard work he has put into his physique, the training he puts into his boxing matches. At the very least, he's good at marketing it. Not only does he have the ability to attain mates, but he hooks up his friends with some of the most famous adult stars. As for the guy's resources, his whole brand is built upon all that he has made. There are obvious material possessions like cars, the houses, the exclusive parties, private jets, and the constant flexing of cash, but there is also Logan's message. His philosophy to attain what he has captures his mostly male demographic fan base and gives them something to strive for.
Actually, when I talk to like 18 to 22-year-olds, and I'm telling them like, yo, this game is a marathon, not a sprint. You got to be smart about it.
Yeah.
I don't allow them the privilege of taking a break or worrying about toxic hustle, because I believe 18 to 22 is your time to grind.
Because according to evolutionary psychology, males are theorized to desire everything Logan has. It makes perfect sense that his demographic is mostly male. Other digital stars that draw in mostly men also showcase some of these traits. You've got fitness influencers advertising their gains. There is a lot of flexing when it comes to young social media stars. Financial gurus, whether legitimate or not, always seem to have some luxury car behind them. You've got picking up girls content. One case study I found illustrated how you can lose your mostly male audience once you turn away from the attributes males desire. Before Connor Murphy had a slew of expose videos made about him, his whole channel secured popularity through a simple concept. He'd get girls by showing them his six-pack.
I have 1 second to impress you, and if I do, then I get your number. Is that fair? All right, so 1 second?
1 second.
When does the timer start?
Now.
Now?
Oh god. Oh
So here's my phone ring.
This concept inspired over his 2 million viewers to lift, according to this commenter at least. Interestingly enough, the decline of his channel seemed to be instigated when Murphy shifted his content to yoga videos. The tone of his videos shifted to ones that were more serene and spiritual. Also, yoga, not really known for gaining you muscle. By doing this, he removed the aspect of his videos where he'd attain mates. He removed the health aspect, at least the kind that are perceived by men as beneficial, thus his decline in views. The only time these videos did well was if he was in the thumbnail with a girl. Back to that same Jubilee video. Women were ranking themselves in terms of attractive personality. Because they had just met each other then and there, they were essentially all strangers. The only dimension of personality they all seemed to be ranking themselves on was extroversion. Extroverted women were ranked the highest. This again complements the evolutionary perspective of mate selection. Since women value traits in their partners that are more personality-based, that aid the nurturing of offspring, it is only natural that they idealize these same traits in themselves. We see these in characters specifically written as the ideal female, from a female perspective. In the movie Mulan, there is a scene where Mulan has to impress the matchmaker so she's matched with a good husband. While her family does everything to help her look and act presentable, Mulan manages to ruin her meeting. She feels different and does not live up to the cultural norms of quote-unquote how to be a lady. Even in narratives that don't involve marriage, ideal female characters often face this obstacle. In the Hunger Games, where teenagers from different districts are chosen to fight each other to the death, Katniss Everdeen shows disinterest in pleasing an audience with how she dresses. She even states how she has difficulty in getting people to like her.
Merida, a princess does not place her weapons on the table.
Mom! I think a lot of movies have this as a hurdle for the main character because physical attractiveness for females is less important. Instead, attractiveness also comes from personality-based traits. In evolutionary theory, this would mean traits that would help the survivability of your infant: independence, sustainability, and tenderness. Female characters that appeal to the female gaze typically show a surge of independence and sustainability. And if she doesn't begin that way, her character surely evolves in that direction. While fiercely independent, she also plays the role of caregiver to those important to her. Creators who attract a mostly female audience display these same traits. We all know the top influencers are making money beyond our wildest dreams, but it's expressed differently between a male creator with a mostly male audience and a female creator with a mostly female audience. While male creators tend to display resources, health, and the ability to attain mates, female creators display independence, ability to sustain oneself, and tenderness. Independence and sustainability is a given. All of these creators are running a business, live comfortably, and go on vacation. Yet, they show they are still grounded by caring for those around them. When you watch these videos, it's almost as if you're watching how you'd act if you were put in their situation. In the male's video, you're watching as if this could be you. Emma Chamberlain is one creator who I think embodies this. From her $4.3 million home, Chamberlain is clearly doing well. Despite this, she does not flex her wealth the way YouTuber Logan Paul does, because this does not appeal to her mostly female audience.
Making spring rolls is so enjoyable.
You look at some of the comments on that house tour, for example, and many didn't even know what an extravagant house she had. Many more are questioning why she even purchased this home. Chamberlain does showcase her accomplishments though, like attending the Met Gala, Fashion Week, and traveling in general, but there is this sense of groundedness in her video. They don't have the same energy and bravado you see in Paul's videos. Logan Paul doesn't explicitly say this, but I think his branding makes it quite clear. Hard work attains resources. Emma Chamberlain's branding is hard work attains independence. Obviously, Chamberlain and Paul have secured both of these features, but because they cater to different sexes, they will highlight different traits. Chamberlain's videos feature what, according to evolutionary theory, women desire. One feature of Emma's vlogs many of her viewers seem to like is her hanging out with her dad. Other creators who embody these traits, which in turn leads to mostly female viewers, include Jenna Marbles, Liza Koshy, and Zoella. Even when female creators with mostly female audiences do show off their possessions like Trisha Paytas and Tana Mojo, it's not comparable to their male counterparts. In addition, these YouTubers are often complimented because they tell it like it is, rather than their luxury cars. Now I know what you're thinking. Where's the hope you promised us near the beginning of the video? Donna, you've said there was more to this, but all you've done is confirmed negative stereotypes. Well, remember that study by Norman Lee and his colleagues? The one that found men viewed attractiveness as a necessity while women viewed status and resources as a necessity? Well, that's only half the story. Studies that examine what traits each sex values have always been flawed. Some have even found physical attractiveness and status to be at the bottom of the list. Lee and colleagues argue that this paradox comes from the method in which these studies are typically done. To simplify things, participants are often given the trait and asked to rank it. How much do you want a trait in the ideal partner? Of course, all these traits are going to rank high. No matter what gender, we all value attractiveness and we all value status and resources. To combat this, Lee designed their study to mimic trade-offs in real life. So, even though they found men to value attractiveness and women to value status and resources, the study found that these traits are a necessity and not some numerical value each person has to achieve. This means, ladies, you don't all have to be at least a 9 to snag a husband, and guys, you don't all have to be making at least $100,000 to get a wife. The level of each trait varies from person to person. This man's attractiveness necessity level may be at a 9, while this guy's is a 4. This woman only dates millionaires, while this one doesn't care if you're sharing a couch with anyone else. So yes, attractiveness and status and resources are a necessity, but those necessity levels vary from person to person. The study also found kindness and intelligence to be a necessity to both sexes. You know what else is a predictor in who you'll be married to? How similar you are to this person. Many studies of mate selection conducted around the world find the rule of homogeny applies. That is, spouses tend to show similar educational achievements. They also marry partners who are similar in attitudes, religion, and values. That additionally tells you that if you do have an ideal personality that you want to be with, you have to work on becoming similar to that person yourself. You want someone that's fit? Go exercise. Do you want someone career-driven and successful? Work on your career as well so you can get into that circle. If you've been paying close attention, you're also going to notice the pieces of media we've discussed typically have a younger demographic. This is because this is the typical age range where we explore interest in romantic partners. Being that we generally don't have any experience with the opposite sex, we are easily tantalized by idealized versions of them in media. As we grow and gain more experience by interacting with them more, we slowly learn how far from the truth these relationships are. You'll notice movies and digital stars with more adult audiences no longer show ideal male/female archetypes. If they do, it's very subtle. If that's still not enough to get your hopes up, school shooters have fangirls and they get love letters written to them all the time. If they can snag someone, you can too. We tend to forget how unrealistic the love interest is when watching movies that cater to a specific sex. I think this is done for a purpose. In a lot of these mediums, we identify with the protagonist. If you're a female watching a film designed for you, the main character is imperfect, awkward, and may not always embody what it traditionally means to be a woman. We hope that despite all our flaws, our ideal partner will see through all of that, even if we're dressed as a boy, or we're trapped in our mom's body. If you're a male watching a film designed for you, the main character is also imperfect, awkward, lacks experience, and doesn't always embody the most macho masculine man. You too hope that your ideal partner will see past that. What's funny is that even though we identify with the main characters, if the protagonists from both movies were to get together, it wouldn't make sense in the narrative. It'd just be two awkward people. That alone should tell you that these mediums are designed to be wish fulfillment. It makes us feel good to watch someone we see ourselves in go through all the trials and tribulations to finally be rewarded with their ideal match. Just don't take them as anything more than entertainment. So as I said in the beginning of the video, remember to not take these studies as a fixed rule. These are just generalities. That's the end of the video. I will see you guys next time. Stay psyched.